Hello and welcome to the Listening Post's unboxing channel on YouTube. Today I'm unboxing Rotel's brand new RA-1592 Mark II, the tweaked iteration of a stunning 200 watt balanced integrated amplifier that's a legend. With chipset manufacturing having issue and other international supply issues, Rotel has pivoted and created a Mark II version of a number of their amplifiers, including the smaller 1572. This is the 200 watt iteration, which now features via its USB, MQA and other formats, and a Texas Instruments 32-bit 364 kHz DAC. It's stunning. This powerhouse of amplifier has its heritage and build centered around their top preamp, along with their most popular 200 watt power amplifier in one mammoth box. This thing is so stable and so powerful it will deliver 350 watts into 4 ohms. And it's absolutely unheard of in its price and quality set. So, let's have a look. Now firstly, what we see today is Rotel's shipping box. It's a plain brown outer. It's got a bit of information on it, scannable, associated with the model and serial number, model, basic information, and it's sealed closed with traditional packing tape. Getting these types of things open is really straightforward. A simple process of nix and we're in. It's once we sort of get into that brown cardboard box that we see the, I guess the box we're more familiar with in the 15 series, this two-tone white with the Rotel factory tape. Now getting out of the box, because it's so well shipped, the box of course is such a perfect fit that it creates that sort of suction. Get rid of that. Roll it back over, and we see now a little bit more information. There's stickers on it to imply its colour, and of course this one's black. Previous video, 1572 Mark II, we did that in silver, so if you want to see the two sort of side by side, check out that video as well. On one end again we've got an iteration of its model, the Mark II, and then in one corner scannable information again about its model and serial number. Like everything, it's taped closed with Rotel's iconic packing tape, and opening that again very straightforward. A series of small nicks, avoiding the need to drag the knife right across the top. Now to highlight its new pedigree, Rotel has moved away from its traditional green Rotel sort of quick start guide into a black one. This is multilingual as far as things go. Turning it over, we have again a quick setup guide as far as the basics of inputs and outputs and connecting some speakers and using its remote control. All of those types of things. Very straightforward. Drilling in further, we see a couple of things. Previous models saw a CD-ROM in this pack for its user manual. Now they've opted to put it on a USB, and it's a lovely branded USB with Rotel. There's a bit of information and service information, serial number information associated with Roon, and some basic other things in a sealed bag. Then there's a big layer of closed cell foam. Now this is firstly cut away for the accessories we've seen, and then specific to the amplifier as far as its fit and finish. Actually leaning it forward, a couple of things in the back here. We see a basic network cable, bit of a freebie, and a basic USB cable. Then lifting the amplifier out is relatively straightforward. You can sort of squeeze your hands around the amplifier using the closed cell foam and then lift it out. Then it reveals in the base the rest of the accessories. We've got a New Zealand 2-pin AAC power cord, and the unit's remote control, all beautifully laid out in the protection associated with the closed cell phone inside. The remote is a system remote control. It will operate all of the Rotel CD players, for example, and even their 14 series tuner. The remote is full size with a nice weight to it and comes with a set of AA batteries. Once the batteries are in, it's got a nice fit and finish with the main buttons easy to operate. Again, a bit of closed cell phone protecting it, and away it goes. Now, the amplifier is then inside a large, oversized sort of plastic bag. It's sellotaped closed, and it's very straightforward to get rid of that sellotape. At this point, the bag is then slipped off. Carefully over the rear binding posts, and then rotate it back over onto its side to slip the last of the bag on. Now the amplifier has extruded aluminium cheeks, and these are protected specifically by a couple of pieces of tape. I've always enjoyed taking the final kind of protection off these things, and I never get tired of doing it with the Rotels. That extrusion gives a beautiful elegance to the unit, and it's nice to know that they've added that extra little care as far as preserving it in freight. Right, looking at the amplifier, and I'm going to pause and show you its depth. The previous, well, the 1572 is significantly shallower. Most units are, approximately the same width, and at a glance it's the same height as the smaller 1572. But it's the depth that changes with this model. And of course it's to fit the extra amplification stages. With 200 watts of clean, really clean power, it's not going to have a small footprint. And it's nice to see that they've added not only the extra depth, but extra ventilation to ensure that it will not overheat. Right, looking at the front, its elegance is very, very easy to see. Again, the curved front cheeks. In the top we have its model, 1582 Mark II, 1592, and a relay switch. Now that glows blue, and that glowing can be dimmed in its setup. There's a 3.5mm headphone output and a USB in for the basic connection of sort of media playback devices like an Android phone. It's got enough current to actually charge an iPad if required, but of course everybody's got a charger floating around nowadays. Beside it we've got an IR sensor and a relay controlled A and B speakers. Centrally we've got the inputs all allocated and labelled. So we've got the phono input, CD balanced, tuner auxiliary USB at the front, and PC USB for asynchronous use at the back. There's a couple of opticals, in fact there's three. There's three coaxes, and then there's a Bluetooth. Now the unit supports aptX Bluetooth, and actually sounds really good. Of course, because it's feeding through the masterpiece of DAC that it has on board. Finally, over this side, it has the ability to navigate through the menu, and that's where you can allocate inputs, switch things on and off, or set one of those inputs as like a theatre bypass, enabling this to become a power amplifier if required. The front display is very easy to see without being too sort of abrupt and aggressive. There's two lines of dot matrix, and again that can be dimmed down. The rotary encoder at the front has a lovely fit and finish to it. It's smooth and elegant in its operation. It's worth mentioning that they've opted for a rotary encoder to ensure that they can very gradually and slowly lift the volume and then ramp it up at the end of its scale if required. Tilting it forward, again you see the ventilation, and again its depth. It's at the back that we see though all of the features as far as how it's pointed. Firstly, on the boring side we have the IEC input, for power, and above that the RS-232 for possible external control or automation. Adding to that, we've got a couple of triggers. There's two of them, and these are utilised to perhaps turn on external power amplifiers or something along those lines. It's also very common, should a subwoofer be added, for the trigger to be utilised to power it on and off. There's an external IR input, there's a Rotel link which is associated with controlling other Rotel devices and bringing them on and off in a cascade. There's the rear USB, and that's where the asynchronous USB is utilised for MQA. There's a network socket. Now this is not for streaming, it's for external control, and you can use Rotel's control app if required. Continuing along the front, we've got the three coax inputs. These are just labelled 1, 2 and 3 and can be relabelled to anything using the menu. There's three optical inputs, again they can be relabelled, and then finally the Bluetooth receiver. Beneath it are the analog inputs, alluding to the fact that from a circuit topography perspective, the digital and analog are separated as best as they can. It's got an excellent phono preamp along with a good quality ground. You've got analog inputs pre-labelled CD tuner auxiliary, as well as two outputs for a sum mono with subwoofers. There's also a traditional stereo pre-out, enabling this to be teamed up with an external power amplifier, perhaps even the matched power amplifier with a couple hundred watts to bi-amp and bi-wire if required. There's two balanced inputs clearly labelled left and right, and then beneath it the outputs, which are clearly labelled speakers A and speakers B. The binding posts again have a lovely fit and finish and are labelled with the Rotel logo. As you can see at a glance, the banana plug inputs are covered with a plastic cap, and that cap can be removed if required just using your fingertips. It's very, very straightforward. Now, just tilting it, and please hang around for the photographs, you'll see at the base, this is a mammoth amplifier with a huge power supply on board, delivering all of the current required to maintain the control it exerts. With that, it actually has a fifth foot, and this is to ensure huge stability. It also reduces resonance in the cabinet as well, and all of that has a sonic benefit. So, there we have it. Rotel's brand new RA-1592 Mark II, unboxed here at the Listening Post in Christchurch, New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more, subscribe to our channel.